Good evening. Thank you all for joining us this week on the Expressions Podcast. I don't even know where to start about how much I've been looking forward to tonight's show. Ever since I saw this gentleman work, I knew I had to have a longer conversation with him, and tonight is finally the night. Welcome, mind reader, mentalist, magician, collector, wrestling manager, which I have to talk to you more about, and overall creative guy. Chris Mysterion is here with us. Chris?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Before we get into all the amazing things that you do, I just want to say quickly hi to Sean, Mark, and Aurora. Do any of you guys have anything cool that you want to talk about this week, or should we get right into talking to Chris?
I think we should just get right into it from me. I just worked, so nothing exciting there.
I've been working. I had a shoot today. I'm super excited for this conversation, so...
Nice.
Yeah.
And I do have to apologize to Sean because in the last episode we kind of fired him, and then and fired him because it was April Fool's show. So
it was the network, really. It wasn't us. It was some guy in the ivory tower.
All right. Well, let's get into this. Mr. Mysterion, Chris.
That's Doctor. Yeah.
Doctor Mysterion. I'm so excited that you're here. I mean, the things that you're able to do are, like I said earlier, they're baffling to me. I can't quite grasp it. And I'm a very logic-minded person. I'm a skeptic. I'm if it doesn't make sense, Aurora, and you guys know this about me, it's like if it doesn't make sense logically, I can't get it. You must run into people all the time who are kind of like that. They're baffled, they're confused. What's that like for you?
Well, first of all, I'm not trying to really fool anybody or pull the wool over anyone's eyes. My job is to create a world of mystery and a world where everything is impossible. It becomes possible. I used to watch a gentleman growing up named the Amazing Kreskin. I don't know if you remember him or not, but he was on television back in the day, still with us, still performing, still touring. And he would do things on TV that made me feel the way that you just described how you feel watching me. So I had to know how this was done. So I started dabbling in it as a hobby. Of course, back in the 80s, there was no internet. So there was the library and there was the magic shop, but it was a very guarded community. And I slowly started to learn the trade and sort of come at it from a creative point of view, unlike the traditional magician or mentalist would. I was incredibly influenced by things like In Search Of or Twilight Zone or That's Incredible or Unsolved Mysteries or any of these shows. And so I sort of took that approach to it, where it's not I'm a mind reader or I'm a magician. I'm a presenter of the unusual. We're a presenter of the supernatural. I will find whatever it is that we are looking at, whether it be something like Bigfoot or haunted houses, whatever the case might be. And I'm going to not only try to figure it out, but then I'm going to utilize whatever knowledge I've found to recreate it. So I find a lot of people will come at me and say, how did you do that? And I don't think they're asking, how did you do that? I think they're asking, I don't understand how that was done. I'm confused. You've really kind of put a spin on my perception. That's generally how people respond to it, or they just basically, throw a burning cross at me or something. I have a spike through my heart. Who knows? But I mean, it's a fun field, and it's sort of one of those areas where I kind of can control what I present to the public. One year it might be a little bit more pseudoscience. One year it might be a two-person show with Steffi K as the sentimentalists, where there's a second mentalist who have their eyes closed, and I walk up to somebody and they give me their credit card and she tells you the numbers on the card. It could be something like I'm doing a curation of the odd or the unusual. I travel around the world and I find unusual artifacts and I bring them home into my museum, and then I travel to places like Coney Island, for example, where there's this museum of oddities, and kind of study that sort of a field also. So it kind of really just depends on how I feel and what I feel like putting out there.
I'm going to bring everybody back to the first time that I met you.
Okay.
It was at the CNE in Toronto, and you and Steffi, the Sentimentalists, were performing. And this is the first time I'd heard of it. This is the first time I'd ever seen anything like it. And again, I'm a skeptic. So my wife and I are standing in the back. We're kind of watching your performance, and you guys finish up, and you're talking to a few people on the sidelines afterwards. She's on one side of the stage, and you're on the other, closer to Shelly and I. And the whole time, Shelly's like, "I hope they talk to me. I hope they talk to me. I hope they talk to me." And you finished your set and didn't get to talk to Shelly. So I walked up and I said, "Hey, loved your set. Would you mind?" Like, Shelly was kind of hoping that you would call on her, and you're like, "Oh, absolutely." And immediately you welcomed her into that. And you called Steffi from across the stage. And I honestly, I can't remember exactly. I can't remember things. I remember feelings. I remember emotions.
I think we had her think of the name of a celebrity, and then Steffi said the name of the celebrity.
There was that, but then she also picked a mouse. She said, "You're holding something." Shelly had her hand in her purse, and it was a mouse.
A little toy mouse of some kind.
Exactly.
I remember that. I remember that, actually, yeah.
And it was important because that's the mouse that our cat used to play with, who had just passed away just before then. And Steffi picked up on it, and it hit the nail on the head. And immediately, I mean, the waterworks, Shelly started to cry. She was very emotional about that. And as a skeptic, being there in the moment and, witnessing it there without my scattered memory, piecing things together over the years, I was just shocked. It was legitimate.
I'm a skeptic too. I look at people that claim they can read minds and speak to the dead, and I look at them like they're nuts. And everyone can do what I do. Let me give you an example. So there's 3 other people here on the panel, and Sean, we've never discussed this in advance. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mark, no. Aurora,
No,
we never discussed
No.
anything, right? I'm going to try something here. I'm going to go out on a limb. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to think of a 3-digit number. Now I got to figure out the order I want to do this in. Let's start with you, Sean. What is the first digit in the sequence of the 3-digit number? What do you feel I'm sending to you? Say it out loud.
3.
A 3. And what about you, Mark?
7.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And Aurora?
4.
You were going to go with another 7 and then changed your mind. Am I right?
I was gonna go with 8, and I changed my mind.
So 374, which is exactly what I'd written on the chalkboard.
Oh my gosh!
And you were sensing those numbers as I was sending them.
It's funny because I was gonna say 9. I had it in my head. I was gonna say 9.
And then you just popped over to the other number.
I if you asked me to pick a number between 1 and 10, I would have never picked 7.
Yeah. That's why I asked if you were sure, because I knew you were having a little bit of hesitation with that. But you always stick with what you do. So everyone can do what I do. I just really made things more complicated, didn't I?
No, I think it's great. I was watching, cool. I think it was actually on, you were explaining the whole difference between sleight of hand and sleight of mind. And magicians use sleight of hand and mentalists use sleight of mind.
Yeah.
So that's why you say it's something anybody can do, because you can train yourself and you can learn techniques and you can learn cues and so on and so forth. You're just really freaking good at it because.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say because you are really freaking good at it. It's awesome.
Thank you. It brings me great joy to be able to mess with people's heads. I mean, I'm kind of a beloved bad guy because people love to hate me because they can't figure it out. It's just like,
yeah, but that's part of the entertainment factor. If everyone's like, "Oh, I know how he did that. He did this," and it takes the mystery out of it. It takes the fun. It takes the entertainment and the enjoyment out of it if you know how it's done, right?
I perform at the Magic Castle in Hollywood. It's the sort of mecca for a magic venue. It's a private club in Hollywood, and members include Dick Van Dyke and people like Neil Patrick Harris were on the board, and famous magicians perform there every night. And Steffi and I are actually there in April. We're doing a week in April. And I'll watch other mentalists, and it's unfortunate sometimes because I'll just sit there and go, oh, that's cool. Oh, I got it. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I figured it out. And afterwards, I'm looking at everyone going, and I'm going, I liked his suit. I don't want to know, but I've learned so much. I live behind the curtain. And so it's very rare that someone will do something where I'm going, okay, I got to know how that was done, or I have no idea how that was done. And there's been a few times, but
I love that. I equate that to our world of photography because we can look at a photo and kind of guess how it was made. You know what I mean? Kind of say, oh, it's a slow shutter speed, or it's this, or it's that. You can kind of piece things together based on experience. And that's really what you're talking about is you've got all this experience in that field. It would be disappointing sometimes, I guess. Have you ever been fooled?
100 times. I mean, so many times people have done things for me where I've had no clue how they're doing it. More in the world of sleight of hand or in visual magic, where I'm looking at something and going, okay, now that was just too good. I was just at the Magic Castle about 2 weeks ago in LA. I'm actually going back in a week. And there was a young kid, not a kid, a 21-year-old guy who was doing coin manipulations. And this guy was doing them so well, I really had no clue what he was doing. He was as clear as I could see it right in front of him. He had a silver dollar, put it on the table, placed his hand over the silver dollar, and I'm looking at both hands. I know what to look for. I see his other hand empty, go down, and he lifts them, and they've swapped places. And his sleight of hand was so good, I couldn't see how he was doing the moves. I'm familiar with some of the moves that would happen in that type of magic. It's not that I do that kind of magic, but I've been around it enough that I can have an idea. This guy was so good, I couldn't even wrap my head around how it was being done. And I didn't want to know. I wanted to leave it at that because it was just, it was what it is. It was magic. Right. And I think that's important to keep that sort of alive if you're in the industry, if you want to learn it by all means. But I think that there should be a little bit of mystique still there.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It reminds me though of Penn and Teller Fool Us. I mean, you were on Penn and Teller Fool Us, and you got one over on them. How was that?
Yeah. That was pretty weird. A lot of people asked me about that appearance, and it's kind of like a big blur to me because it was just so much going on that afternoon. You sort of go in, you don't know when you're going on. You've already done your rehearsal. They already know what you're going to do, and the committee or not the judges, the what do you call them? The production know how it is the trick is done. They have to know because a lot of people can become argumentative with Penn and Teller. So you give the secret away to production, and then you go on when they call you from holding, and you don't know when you're going on. So you're down there sort of worried and, eating craft services, and all of a sudden you're up, and it moves so quickly. You go out, you do your spot, you're there for maybe a total of 10 minutes, and then you're whisked back into the green room. And that whole moment, like I could watch that on the television and I can only remember vague moments of it because it just was so thrilling and terrifying and exciting all rolled into one. And you'll notice that when Penn and Teller say, you fooled us, I actually look at Teller and go, really?
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm going, there's no way that just, and then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it actually did, because what we did, no one else on the planet does. The way that we created that act, Steffi and I came up with something that nobody on the planet does the way we do. So of course, there's no way they're going to have any knowledge of it. They might have an idea, but they were really shocked that they couldn't figure it out. And without giving away how it was done, it was almost obvious, but in a very unorthodox way. So even afterwards, we had gone back and we performed with Penn and Teller at the Rio. We went back maybe 3 or 4 months later, and afterwards we hung out with them in the green room, and we told them, of course they knew how it was done, and we kept doing things and doing them, and they just looked at me, and one of them said, even knowing how it was done, this is just impossibly invisible and great. And that was a big compliment. That told us that we were able to create something and sort of contribute, even if we're not publishing it, contribute to magic in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing.
Hey, hold on. There's the trophy.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
Wow.
Oh,
so
very
that's
cool.
what you get. You get the FU. I love that. And then there's the lanyard. And then,
nice.
And then people who watched the show, they were brought in from the casino. You never really knew who was going to be in your audience because it was just really a game of randomness. So I went up to somebody afterwards. There were people in the casino afterwards. Oh my God, you guys did amazing. And I said to somebody, do you have a ticket? And somebody gave me their ticket. So I actually have the ticket for the event itself stuck to the bottom.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
So on the bottom of the cabinet where this sits. Yeah. I have the other pieces from that. And they gave Steffi a trophy as well. They usually only give one, but I think we threatened to cut it down the middle. And they were like, no, don't do that. This is
She was so
property
excited.
of the show. You're not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to sell that, believe it or not. If I sell it, they can sue or something. I'm not that I would, but you know.
Yeah.
Not you especially.
A lot of people do, though, right? I mean, you see, if you ever watch like what's that, the Gold and Silver Pawn Stars from Vegas, where they get a lot of like whether they be championship rings or any of those.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, like
you're not supposed to sell them. I know some. I'm not going to say names, but I know some pro wrestlers with the WWE who actually sold off their Hall of Fame ring. It's like, why would you do that for? It's like, well, you need $5,000. Like, I mean,
that's sad.
Yeah, it is. But I'm never going to sell that. I'd rather cut off my pinky finger.
Yeah. No, for the importance of it, plus you're a collector of things. I mean, it's.
I can put the pinky finger on a necklace, and I don't do sleight of hand, so I'm okay.
Yeah, when you guys won, I saw the video. Steffi's reaction was gold. I mean, she was so excited, jumping up and down. It was really cool.
Yeah, and it jumped on Penn, and he's just so big, you know.
He's looking around like, this is happening.
Didn't expect it. We were actually told, all right, you fooled us. Here's the trophy, vamoose. And we're just standing there in this, I'm in this state of what? I was kind of just for that 20 or 30 seconds, I was just kind of in a position where I didn't quite believe it. I didn't really realize it had happened until we went back and then the head of production came up and said, let's get photos, let's get this. And I'm going, didn't you just tell us not to tell the other magicians in the green room if we won or not? And he goes, oh, I don't care. I'm the director. And so we took photos and everyone kind of knew. And it was then that I realized it. And I remember we went back up to our rooms and got changed. I was wearing that god-awful suit. It didn't have the coat. The coat was supposed to come, and it never arrived.
So that wasn't even your suit?
It was my suit, but it had a coat that I bought, and it never came.
Gotcha.
And I never ended up getting it. So it has this cool, like, Dick Tracy kind of thing, and I just looked weird without the coat. Anyway, so I ended up going up and changing into something more casual. And when we came back down into the casino, there was a buffet, and they had a section of the buffet sequestered for the Fula staff and crew. It's always sequestered. And so when we went in there, everyone was kind of calling us over, and it became reality when that happened. And you're not allowed to tell anybody, but of course I phoned home and told my girlfriend. And then then my dad phoned me of all people, and he was like, "So what happened? Did you lose?" And I'm like, "No, we won."
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. Pretty surreal moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if it went seamlessly, but the jacket, I guess that's already something that would throw you in a performance.
That's what it was.
Okay.
I knew the day before that the jacket wasn't coming, so I just kind of wrapped my head around it. Oh, that's what it is. There was nothing that happened that was an issue that day. And the only thing I can think of was when I went into the box, I was in a blindfold. And if you hadn't watched this, please go on YouTube, look at it up. The Sentimentalists Fool Us. I went into this wind machine, and the audience had drawn pictures, and they dumped them in the box, and I'm in there blindfolded, and they hit it, and they're flying all around, and I'm trying to catch one. I'd never actually done that before. I'd done everything else, but we had never actually rehearsed catching a piece of paper while blindfolded. And so you can see I'm kind of trying, and it's impossible to grab a piece of paper that's just flying around without looking. And so I kind of had to grab a bunch of them and throw a bunch of them away. And in hindsight, I would have had like a stick with a bit of maybe glue on the end.
Yeah, just to catch something.
Catch anything, right? And it would have been a little bit more transparent. A lot of people thought I had one up my sleeve that I dropped down and it was the duplicate, or one in my pocket that I pulled out, or it was behind the mask. It was a real drawing that somebody in the audience did. We don't know who they were. I even think I said, whose drawing is this? And a woman stood up, and that was one of the things that really messed them up, because they knew we didn't have any plants in the audience. You're not allowed to use third parties. There's all these different rules you're not allowed to do. And that was, we ticked off all those boxes. We even did a few red herrings in there to kind of mess with them as well. And they didn't get it, which is amazing.
So I want to clarify for everybody who hasn't seen it. Basically the trick is you have everybody in the audience draw something on a piece of paper.
Anything, yeah.
Those pieces of paper are all in this big box.
Yeah.
Steffi is on the stage. You're on the stage. Yeah. You put Steffi's high-tech light blocking device on.
Right.
She closes her eyes.
I think she closes her eyes, yes.
Yep, she closes her eyes. And then you get in the box. They turn the wind machine on. You put your blindfold on. They turn the wind machine on. Things are flying all over the place. You grab one. They open the box for you. You come out.
And I never even open it. I'm just holding it.
Just holding it.
Draw something. I open mine, show it to the audience, and then she shows her, and they match.
And it was a flower.
It was a flower. Yeah.
So again, how does that happen? I can't ask you to give away the.
It happens. Well, I mean,
it happens well. It happened. Watch the video.
I'm going to tell you a funny story. We were on stage performing with a show. Dita Von Teese, the burlesque dancer, was performing, and we were one of the opening acts. And there was about 1,500 people in the audience. And we've kind of gotten smooth with telling people what not to draw, But we just said, draw anything. And of course, the guy drew a penis. And so poor Steffi had to draw a giant penis on a board to show the audience. Now, it was a burlesque show, so it fit the agenda. But people have drawn everything. They've drawn the weirdest things. One guy drew a tray of food that he would eat in prison. Like, people
and she knows this.
Oh my God, some of the stuff, I don't even want to say some of the stuff people have written down for us to guess. And I'll tell you, one time at the CNE, there was a guy, and he said, I want you to tell me what it is. I want you to tell me what it is. My God, he wrote down, I swear to my life, this is a shocker. He wrote down he had murdered his kid when he was on prescription drugs, and he won the case because it was wrongly prescribed. And I'm like, why would you pick that for something for a mentalist to pick? Like, what? People pick fucked up shit, man. When I was doing the show solo, I did the blindfold bit. We'd blindfold my eyes. I'd put duct tape over my face and wrap my head like a mummy. And I had a tray, like a silver serving tray. And I would put it on the table, and I would say to people, put items on the table, come up, drop some stuff on the table. I'm going to hold my hand over it and tell you what it is. And somebody placed a loaded gun. What do you have? Somebody put, I said, put something in my hand. Someone took their dentures out, put them in my hand.
my mother would do that.
Weird things people have handed me over the years. Really surreal, strange things come out of people's bags. We were in Nashville. Somebody had seen us before and purposely saved the head of their trout that they had for dinner. and wrapped it in a piece of cloth. And then when we were doing the bit, took out the fish head and said, we want you to identify what's in this thing. And we were like, well, fish heads, roly-poly fish heads, like it's a fish head. Like, who does that? And it was a fish head. Like,
wow.
I got handed a taser. Remember that? I got handed a taser that was disguised as a flashlight. So it was something that would just be on you and you wouldn't think it was a weapon. This was in the southern states.
I have one of those.
Right? And the woman gave me this taser, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, oh, it's a flashlight. And I was going to, like, turn it on and put it under my chin and be like, And I jolted myself. Like, I went flying, and I've been electrocuted. Like, I got hit by lightning. That's a true story. But that's another day. But I've been electrocuted enough that I just kind of went, whoa, that was pretty insane. And everyone's looking at me like, are you okay? You might want to go to the hospital. I'm like, nah, I'm fine. And I was totally okay. People give me the weirdest things, man.
I need to ask, how bad was the electrocution? Because I have that thing and I've never actually touched it.
It was a stunner, man. It would it would take down the average person, I think, if they didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what was coming, but I'm used to weird things like that. In a way,
rolling with it and just kind of
roll with it. Like I've been hit by a car. I've been, also I've been hit by lightning. That's true. I got struck by lightning in an open parking lot. Woke up at a Tim Hortons. Didn't even remember being hit, and I was fine. Like things like that happen to me. I don't know why. They just do. So I got the jolt. I felt it. I remember everyone going. I kind of saw stars for a second, and then just went. Okay, so what is it, Steffi? And she's like, I think it's a taser. Like.
I think the reason people do that is because you're talking about the loaded gun, the fish head. That's just people going, I know what's gonna fool them. I know what's gonna fool them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring in the shrunken head from my neighbor's daughter or something.
Oh, I would have that in 2 seconds. I'd keep it.
Yeah, right. So, but they think of the weirdest thing they own, and that's what they bring because they're like, nobody will ever bring a fish head wrapped in a cloth.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write something down on a piece of paper. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I want you to think of anything that would trip you up, anything at all that would trip you up, and I want you to think of what it would be.
Trip you up.
Like if you were me, if you wanted to trip me up, I should say.
Oh, okay.
So I have something written right here on this right here. I want you to tell me,
Mark, this is
any item that would trip you up.
Mark?
Something that could trip me up. Say what it would be.
I'm just going to go with a part of something. So like a tremolo system from a guitar.
Oh, a guitar part.
Yeah, like a whammy bar. Yeah.
A whammy bar.
Yeah.
Guys, listen. I'm going to open this up. If that says whammy bar, that is going to blow your minds. That is going to just take everything you've ever learned in the world and completely fuck with it. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm at home just in case because I got to change the shorts. On standby. Oh, don't say whammy bar.
Oh, oh my God.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Quite the opposite, but I'll take the compliment.
That's wild.
Now writing that down, did you know what that was?
Well, I wrote whammy bar, and then you said the tremolo part of the guitar, and then I thought to myself, well, wait a second. And then I had to remind myself what I actually wrote down. I, for a moment, forgot what I wrote down, and then I went, oh, no, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, that's cool.
That's
fun.
That's
fucking whack. Holy shit.
So I want to go off topic for a second into another area of my interests. You mentioned a shrunken head, and I actually have a shrunken head tattooed on my neck, and I collect headhunter trophies from around the world. I actually have in that room over there 28 different human skulls from different parts of the world.
Okay.
I have things like an elongated skull from Peru where they bind the head of a baby, and then as the person grows, the skull stretches. I have headhunter trophies, ancestor skulls, that are all adorned in beads and bones and this sort of thing. The one item that I have that has defied any logic that I've searched for an answer to what this is. I've gone to a couple of doctors to look at it. I've had DNA testing done on it. I've had it x-rayed. I have it right here. So they find these sometimes in the deserts in Peru, the Atacama Desert. There was one that was recently found and they named it Cirrus. And Robert Ripley had one of these in his collection. This is a little Atacama mummy, and it's an unknown species. It stands about 10 inches tall. But the strange thing about this is it's not a baby. It has hardened adult bones. It has an extra rib, 4 fingers, and a skull shape and structure that is not human. It's not primate. It is an unknown. So some people have said to me, you might be holding on to a gray alien. Whatever it is, it comes from the region where for thousands of years people bowed their heads to look otherworldly. And this is indeed that. And I really don't have an explanation for what this is. Robert Ripley had one of these. He called it Attaboy. It went missing in 1940 and never resurfaced even on the secondary market. One called Cirrus was found in 2005. That one's in a private collection right now in Spain. And then there's this one. There are only 3 known to have existed. There may be one more that was taken to the Smithsonian. But this is a little Atacama mummy. It's probably one of my best pieces, if not my best.
Wow.
It's awesome. I'm watching the other hosts and everybody's just like,
yeah.
So I have trying to figure out what it is.
I don't know what it is. I mean, if you can tell me what it is, if we can get some kind of an explanation to what it is, I would love to know. The DNA came back inconclusive, but that just means that it's old DNA. It just means that it's just damaged. But even still, it's not. It doesn't look human. It doesn't have. It has tiny little teeth. If you look into its mouth with a light, tiny, tiny little teeth. That's not normal. That wouldn't be how a human would develop. They would have no teeth, and this one has little tongue. It's just something out of this world. I would love
probably.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a believer. I think that's a possibility.
I've never seen any UFOs or anything like that. I'm not going to talk on behalf of Steffi, but she has. She claims to me, swears to life up and down. She saw a craft over the Georgian Bay, and it was just as clear as day, just hovering, and it was there for a long time. I know people who have claimed they've seen Bigfoot. A friend of mine said that a giant monster ran out into the street outside Mount Tremblant. They were driving, they swerved to miss it, and they watched this thing just fire off into the woods, and it was not a bear. He said it was well over 8 feet tall, just gigantic. So
I've seen on 2 occasions. One, I was going across Highway 17 west of Sudbury. And the other time I was going across, if you're obviously familiar with the area, Baxter Road that runs between Thornton and Baxter. Just south of Barrie.
Yes.
And it was the same type of creature. It ran across the road in front of me, and it was a biped. It was running on two legs. It was running hella fast.
That's what he said. It was lightning fast.
But it was only about 3.5 feet tall both times. And it was in, we're talking, what are they, 4 hours apart by car? So it probably wasn't the same creature. And I mean, how would I have seen it? But both of them at night. And it was just weird. One of them, my wife was with me. I'm driving. I saw it. And I'm like, because it was the second one when I saw it up on Highway 17 west of Sudbury. I saw it. And I'm like, that's what I saw down by Baxter. And, and I'm sitting there and I just see my wife do this. Did you see that? And I'm like, yeah, I saw it, because I was like, I didn't know she saw it, so I was just not going to say nothing. And it was just weird, but I don't know what it was.
I think
it's an Oompa Loompa.
Yes. It's my ex-girlfriend. What's the joke
Well,
I
it's not
always
mine.
say on TikTok? It's whenever there's something hideous, I'll go, "Oh, look, it's my ex-wife." I would love to see something that proves the existence of, Bigfoot, this sort of thing. I mean, there's been so many sightings that, and in every part of the world, and for so long, there has to be something to give it an explanation. And if it is, I don't think it's something that's. I think it's a supernatural creature. I don't think it's like an animal. I think it's something that is maybe interdimensional, at risk of sounding crazy, because there would be evidence if there was another species of giant bipedal,
Yeah, they'd find layers, they'd find bodies.
anything. Yeah. And so the fact that it keeps happening in such a way that is avoiding that, it could be a species that's interdimensional. Who knows?
Well, I don't know about that, but I definitely had an alien story when I was up camping in Algonquin.
I need to know this one.
So my friends and I, Jim, Anthony, and I were camping. We had just gone to a Pink Floyd concert, so I should state that.
Well, hold on a second. You already got the problem started.
I know. So here's the story. We leave the Pink Floyd concert 1:00 in the morning. We get in my friend's truck. We drive up to Algonquin. We get in our canoe and we head out. And we make our first campsite on a little island in the middle of nowhere. And wake up in the middle of the night to a light shining straight down from the top of the tent. Perfectly round, perfectly even, no hot spot like a flashlight would have or whatever. No sound, no helicopter, no birds. I couldn't hear anything. And I freaked. It was one of those panic freakouts that you can't talk. You can't speak.
Yeah.
So I nudged over to Jim because I knew Anthony would be useless. So I nudged over to Jim, woke him up, and he woke up and he saw it. And we're sitting there like, do you see this? And we're both like, yeah. And next thing you know, it's the next day.
Interesting.
There wasn't a point where we said, oh, okay, let's go to sleep, or no big deal, whatever. It was just light was there shining to the side of the tent from like the top into the side onto Jim, me, and Anthony back and around. And next thing you know, it's the next day. So that's all I could say I saw. I can't say I saw aliens. Wow. It's just a really weird thing.
The one question you need to ask is, did your asshole hurt? I mean, then you know.
No,
I was gonna say, was it hard to walk the next morning?
No, I checked and I asked Jim if he had a problem.
Goddamn grades!
No, we ruled that part out. I don't think I got the probe, and I've been waiting for like a big satellite dish to come out my butt at some point. But that never happened either.
No, I'm just kidding. And that's the thing, you hear about this block of time that's just gone.
Yep. It's just the next day. That's the craziest thing to me is, and I turned to Jim the next day. I said, "Do you remember that last night?" He did too. Like we both remembered the whole.
And you didn't have anything weird, rashes or.
I mean, actually, now that you mention it, it was right after that I started getting psoriasis.
What?
It was literally right after that. I was 21 when I started getting psoriasis, and that's when this all happened.
Too, or alien. Maybe it's right after I bought the alien. No,
there you go.
Alien psoriasis.
Yeah.
Allergic reaction to the KY they use.
Hey.
I was just about to say that sounds like some wild peyote.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or it's an intergalactic conspiracy theory with Procter and Gamble to sell psoriasis creams. I mean,
exactly. You never know these days. I'm telling you.
Find everybody with psoriasis that once been abducted.
Yeah, maybe there's a link.
I have a friend, a very trusted friend, who doesn't make up things. Actually, doesn't tolerate, the paranormal in any way. Who claims that they woke up and saw a full gray alien just standing in their room looking at them, and said that the one detail they remember is the eyes were almost insect-like as the eyes were moving in a weird way, because they were not necessarily smooth. They were very patterned in a way like a fly would have. Yeah. And kind of would notice this movement and just kind of looked at this creature, knew the creature was female, and then just sort of lulled back into sleep, but remembers it clear, said that they were fully awake and that it was not a hallucination. I said, okay. I said, I believe you.
Yeah.
Well, Again, I have to believe stuff like that because I had my story and it's exactly as I explained it, and it's etched in my memory because that's what adrenaline does, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I remember is exactly as, and it hasn't changed over time. I mean, I could remember it vividly to this day. So it was definitely a weird occurrence. I don't know what, but
Yeah.
This is good bringing this stuff up again. It's cool.
It's fun. Yeah. You know, I always love a good gaff, like something where you go into a sideshow and they have, you know, the Area 51. There was at the CNE back in the day, they had the alien autopsy that you would walk in and there would be a guy cutting open a rubber alien. You know, it's just so cool. You know, where else are you going to get that except for a fair, right? And it's sort of lost. It's a lost art. People aren't really doing it anymore the way that they did back. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, they had real living people that had disabilities on display. Not that I'm going to condone that, but believe it or not, a lot of the people that were working that fair circuit were doing it by choice, and they were making enormous money. Enormous. And in the 30s to the 50s and the 60s, it kind of died out in the 60s. The states, they put a ban to it. They took all these people, put them in Gibtown, gave them a monthly amount of money, and they're all living in trailers. They're going from living in, you know, really nice hotels and eating well and making at the time what a doctor would be making, just sitting around, and then to being on assistance. So now you'll find a lot of people are back doing it again by choice and working the circuit. And I have a friend who has ectrodactylic hands and calls themselves the lobster boy, this sort of thing. And we have all sorts of different performers that have different, as I like to call them, human marvels. And then, of course, people who could do things like swallow swords and that kind of thing. But nothing is as cool as the story of P.T. Barnum's Fiji Mermaid, which made him a household name in America. He fooled the entire country with basically a monkey sewn to a fish. And he exhibited this in New York, charged a quarter, which at the time was a day's pay, and made a fucking fortune on this thing. And, you know, it ended up getting destroyed in a fire that was at his Museum of Curiosities. So no one knows where it went. There's no photographs of it, but there are sketches of this thing, and it's this ghastly thing. And so I actually acquired a mermaid, which is not Barnum's, but it is from the time. And this is a beautiful example of what a sideshow mermaid would look like if you were to pay your quarter and go in and see it. I mean, that is just amazing.
Wow.
Look at it.
Wow.
I like its face. It's just gruesome, right? But, you know, you'd have these giant banners outside the tent displaying a pretty mermaid sitting on rocks, and then you would go in and this would be under the light.
Surprise!
Surprise! There's Ariel! No, Ariel!
Yeah, people complain about remaking those movies with a different colored skin.
Yeah, right?
If they only knew.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just such a fun sort of part of Americana and pop culture. And exhibiting weird things goes back to the beginning of time. I mean, it's something that, you know, even in Roman and Greek mythology, things like the Cyclops, that's a real condition when there's too much SHH protein in a mother's diet. Pig, for example, would eat too many blue corn lilies. They birth a cycloptic baby, and this is when the orbital bones don't separate, you know. And what do you see? You see this strange thing. It becomes a harbinger of an omen that something bad's going to happen, maybe a bad harvest, or you create it into something even bigger. Maybe you offer it, you know, something to keep the bad luck away. When it's just a genetic fuck up.
Yeah.
To me, that's awesome, you know. And I actually, it's in the other room. I can't really bring it in because it's in this giant jar. But I have a full pig that has cyclopia, and it's got its tongue hanging out. I could only imagine 2,500 years ago a farmer having this birthed on his farm, and just the the
horror,
the terror that it would create.
And it probably would have been dispatched and disposed of very quietly.
It
So
would have
that
what?
it would have been dispatched, but they would have killed it and disposed of the body really
Oh,
quietly so that nobody knew it was there, because to your point, it would have been a bad omen, right?
yeah, you would have want to
you know,
cover it up. If you look
yeah,
at certain parts of the world, if you look at rural areas in India, for example, recently there was a child born with a parasitic twin attached to them. So they essentially were born with extra limbs, and all of a sudden it's a deity. And people are bringing the family money and offerings and food. And, of course, we want to be humane and give this poor child the surgery that they need to have this part removed. The family are going, no, 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 don't do that. Then we don't have these benefits anymore. And
yeah,
and it's still to this day. I mean, it's still something that people practice in what's the word I'm almost looking for? It's almost surreal when you think about it and go,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
this is still relevant in 2023.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's an interesting way to look at it.
people like weird, they like odd, but to your point, like with the alien autopsy, that wouldn't fly today because people would just like that's too obviously fake.
Yeah,
It needs to be a really good fake now.
yeah.
Like it needs to be a really good like with like wet latex, and it can't just be like a rubber suit being torn open. It has
Well,
to
what
be.
we have now, the 10-in-1 or the freak show now is YouTube, if you really think
Yeah,
about it. You know,
yeah,
you can find the weirdest things on YouTube or conspiracy theories or evidence about whatever thing you want to come up with. And it's all online. That's what people
yeah,
are looking at to find that what I provide, right? I do it in a very tactile way.
yeah,
I'll walk up to you in the street and make you believe someone's grabbing your arm when there's nobody touching you. And you're freaking out and your friends are filming it and they don't believe what's going on. I do stuff like that all the time because as a society and as a culture, we've lost that sense of mystery and magic and sort of allowing yourself to not be embarrassed to like the unknown or to
Mhm.
feel like a lot of people say, oh, you're trying to fool me or you're making me look stupid. I'm not trying to make anyone look stupid. I'm just showing you something really awesome. Like you watch a TV show and someone's flying. You're not sitting there going, oh, this show's trying to make me look stupid. That guy can't really fly.
Right.
Doing it in a tactile, real world way.
So, who are your favorite magician, mentalist people that you'd think of as the people everybody should really pay attention to?
Well, there are people who are really relevant in the industry. Most of them are no longer with us. One just passed away. Oh boy, when? 2 months ago, maybe? Max Maven, world famous mentalist, wonderful guy. I knew him a bit. We chatted a few times and he'd come to our show a few times. He really enjoyed what we did. But I was really fascinated by him. I watched him on TV on a couple magic specials in the 90s, and he had this sort of Mephistopheles sort of thing going on with the black suit. Kind of looked like me, but a little bit more extreme, and his whole presence. And his stuff is just dynamite because his presentation is where it's at. It's just dark and tongue in cheek and just mind-boggling stuff. There's, of course, if you look back to the 50s, there's a duo called the Piddingtons. They were from Australia, New Zealand, I believe, and they did a lot of stuff on BBC, and they were really, really good. One would go in a plane, and the other one would be at the radio center, and they would be in communication on this, old school sort of method, and one would be sitting up in the plane and the other one would have someone write something down and then the woman up in the plane would recite what was on the piece of paper. I mean, that's just so damn awesome.
yeah,
We did the same type of thing at Nuit Blanche a number of years ago at Nathan Phillips Square with Hendrix Gin, and it was Steffi went up in a balloon over the city, and the mayor and a whole bunch of people were writing things, and she was shouting down with a bullhorn what was on the paper, and it was accurate, and it actually won the Nuit Blanche like the activation of the event award, like for the best activation.
Awesome.
But we ripped off the Piddingtons. But it's just so cool. We had to do it because the impact it had was just so amazing. And I used to watch this, like you all remember, you're young. It's can't just instantly access this stuff. But I used to watch magic shows that were on late night. There would be Paul Daniels or Doug Henning, Mason Kreskin, those guys. There was Mark Wilson's World of Magic. There was all kinds of different shows, and I used to tape them. And if I knew somebody had a video of a magic show, I would buy it or somehow acquire it. And a lot of these older acts, I generally prefer because they're not using electronics. They're not using modern things like cell phones. They're using chalkboards and a piece of gauze, and they're wrapping their head in gauze and then duplicating something you drew. If you really had a superpower, you wouldn't need gadgets and gimmicks and all sorts of nonsense. You would use a piece of chalk and a board, and that's it. You know, you don't need to, you would use a book, you know. How more organic is that? Like, it's just a book of movies. Name a couple movies, guys. Name a couple movies.
Aurora?
Oh, man.
Any movie.
Any movie.
Couple
Harvey.
movies. Huh?
Harvey.
What's Harvey?
It's an old classic movie.
Okay, how about a movie people would know?
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park's a good movie. This century's 100 classic films. I want to just see if Jurassic Park is even in here. Did it make the cut? It did not make the cut. I don't think it made the cut. Star Trek, the motion picture, Duck Soup, Wizard of Oz, Jaws, they're all in here. Name another couple movies. Name like 2 more movies, any 2.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, I got one.
Say
Sure.
one.
Go.
The Phantom Menace.
Say stop on any page.
Stop.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Get the fuck out of here. Holy shit.
And it's even the right one.
That is fucked up.
We're just too easy. We're all just a bunch of
Nice.
marks. That's the problem.
Oh my god.
Harvey,
Hey, it's a solid name.
I got to be honest with you. I got to be straight up. You mentioned Harvey.
Yeah.
Now, what is Harvey? What's it about?
Jimmy Stewart is in it, and
Okay, he was a member of the
about-
Magic Castle.
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Jimmy
So
Stewart, yeah.
it's about a guy who imagines that he has a giant rabbit friend that like walks around with him. It's like he has. It's a very weird and obscure movie. So when you asked a movie, that was like one of the first things that came to mind. It's good. It's very well done.
I got to tell you something really weird.
Okay.
I noticed when I was flipping through the book a moment ago that there's a bookmark in here. I'm just gonna find that bookmark. I found it in here. It was in here. I'm not making that up. I know it was in here. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, there it is. There's a bookmark in here. And it said Harvey on it, which is kind of a weird no explanation to why I even have that written on a bookmark in my book of movies. It must be one that I intended to watch but never did.
That's fucking wild. Holy shit. Oh my god.
So, you know,
Oh, nice.
I got nothing. Okay.
That is crazy.
That's
man.
fun. Thank you for that.
I'm actually, I'm amazed that I'm even amazed that Phantom Menace showed up in the 100 greatest movies.
That's a whole different thing.
I think it's top grossing, something like that.
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
I got
Oh,
this
man.
years ago. I got this book years ago because it's something that everyone can relate to, and then I could do something like this for you, and it's not on a phone or it's just a book of movies, like
Right. It's tangible.
It's tangible. It's you throw it out to the audience, have someone look at it. It's perfect for what we do.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, I think things need to be organic. So I was in LA a couple weeks back, and oh my gosh, it must have been 2 years ago. I filmed a TV show called Repossessed, and it's a show where people who have haunted items bring the haunted item onto the show. Their team of experts research the item. They do a whole spirit reading with all these tools, and they kind of get a feeling of what is either haunting the item or if it's benevolent or malevolent, whatever the case might be. And then they offer to remove the spirit from the item. Now, years ago, I was sold a doll that was on That's Incredible, that old show, and it went through the hands of different people. This doll goes back to the 30s, and the doll's name's Walter. I own the doll. He's actually right there. You can see him behind me, sitting on the chair. Look at him. And so what they did was they did a binding ritual on him, so he didn't start any fires, because he was known for starting fires. And then they even stamped him with a little stamp that says repossessed. But I told them not to remove the spirit. In fact, the binding just fell off. I should find that because I don't want to have a fire. But this guy, he's caused all sorts of different trouble over the years with different past owners, and 2 of them have actually died in house fires, and this is documented truth. And I'm the owner of this doll, and this is one of my strangest artifacts, but he doesn't cause me any grief. He never did. We just did this for the show. But yeah, there's the Walt doll. So if you look into his eyes, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to remove solo layout there. There we go.
Right?
Time to go.
I love this guy. This guy's one of my favorite, and I'll often hide him on a stage, like behind something, and I'll say to someone, go get what's back there, and they'll go back, and then they're coming back. They're like, no, I'm not picking that up.
Dolls are creepy.
It's just a doll, right? It's just a doll. And we do that. And
do people come to this place? Do you have a museum where people come to? And
my home is open to anybody. If they call me, I'm always open to come in and enjoy the museum. The museum that's over there is just literally hundreds of artifacts. If you name something, I probably own one. In the world of the supernatural, it's guaranteed I probably have one of whatever it is you might. I'll have to find that piece of string afterwards. But name something that you might find in a freak show or a museum of oddities.
Wow, it's been a while since I've been to one.
Could be anything.
What would you find?
I don't know, a 6-fingered man.
6-fingered polydactyl. Yes, I have a polydactyl chicken foot. I'm going to get someone to get that for you. I'm going to show you that. So polydactyl is when there's an extra finger, or multinumerary is when you have extra, and it can happen in any mammal. It doesn't happen. It only happens to mammals. I have a chicken's foot that's polydactyl, and I think instead of 3, it has 6 fingers. Where did you put it? It's on the. Let me go get it. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's moved around now. It's right there behind you.
That's fucking wild shit.
Yeah.
My brain is discombobulated.
You got to see the act live. You got to. It's
That's
so
crazy.
There's so much
That's
diversity.
crazy.
Next time he comes down to town, let's go.
When we were talking about the supernatural
All
experiences.
right,
oh, he's back.
I got a couple pieces to show you. This is the polydactyl chicken's foot. You can see it has extra fingers. There it is.
Holy shit!
Wow.
All right. Now I'm gonna up this. I'm gonna up this. This is the rarest form of Siamese twin. This is a pig. This is 1 body, 1 head, 2 bodies. So it has 8 legs.
Oh, whoa.
Oh,
Look at that.
crazy.
That is the rarest form of a Siamese twin. So there's 2 legs on the front, 4 on the bottom, and then 2 coming out its back.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and there's a pretty little face. Let's get your little face there.
I'm just trying to imagine what that smells like. I don't know why.
Yeah.
No. No.
I had one. I don't know, was it that one or another one?
It was that one.
So I had that one in an Uber about 2 years ago, and it broke in the back of the Uber. And formaldehyde everywhere. I had to get that. I had to scoop up whatever remaining formaldehyde I could. Not that it was rot. Like, I mean, you could leave it out for probably 2 weeks and it'd be fine. But I wanted to put it in something. So we went into the venue and I said, "Can I have one of your wine champagne buckets?" We put it in the champagne bucket with whatever formaldehyde. Then at the end of the night, we went to give the champagne bucket back, and they were like, "Nah, you can keep."
No, thanks.
Yeah.
So funny.
Like that's the worst thing that ever ended up in that champagne bucket.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I have literally over 100 and 200 maybe pieces. I mean, they're all over the place. I'm looking at, I got to show you something really, really cool. This is right here. So this is a recent acquisition. So this is a bottle of what's called Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup. Now, you can find these bottles. They're pretty common to find empty and without the paper wrapping. But to find one with the syrup still inside and sealed up with paper is pretty rare. So what this is pre-FDA. It's for like a colicky baby, or for a baby that's teething.
It's cocaine, isn't it?
It's pure morphine. Yeah.
Oh,
holy
and
shit.
I think it on record killed 60,000 children.
Wow.
So they nicknamed this the baby killer. Now here's the crazy thing. It was sold from 1845 to 1930.
Holy shit.
holy cow.
That is 55, 65, 75, 85 years it was on the market.
Wow.
Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup. And then the other piece I have here is...
They were different times, man.
different times.
Different times.
So that's just a baby bottle for feeding a child, right? What they would have done is they would have had a cork that went in here, and then through the cork would have been a rubber tube that went into the base of the bottle, and then you would have fed the baby milk. Now, or breast milk, or I don't think they had formula then. But this was called also a baby killer, because what would happen is you could never quite wash this bad boy out. So it would become a haven for bacteria, and then the babies would get sick and die. And baby bottles were invented, believe it or not, because of the corset. So women who had babies that then wore a corset didn't want to take the corset off, so they would lactate, put it in a bottle, and have it for the day to feed the baby. And they probably never even washed the damn bottle. So this specific type of bottle was actually killing babies quite often. There's a little thing on the back so you can wash it out. I think this one might be a later one that they did so you can really give it a good clean. But this is the style of bottle that was also a baby killer.
So you have children?
No, I killed them all with these bottles.
Oh, good. Okay, excellent.
I had to make sure they work. I had to make sure that I got my money's worth. No, I don't have any kids. No kids.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
All right. So this has been awesome. I can't thank you enough. I knew we'd have a lot of great stories, and I knew there'd be a lot of great information passed. I didn't expect to get a couple tricks out of it. Okay.
You're going to get one more before you go, and it's all 4 of you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm excited now.
No one likes a card trick. No one likes a card trick. So I'm not going to do a card trick. I'm going to show you the cards. All right. And I'm going to turn this away so there's less glare so you can see them a little better. And what I want you all to do, each one of you, just name any card in the deck. Just say one out loud. Go.
2 of diamonds.
Wait. Whoa. 2 of diamonds was the first one. So there's the 2 of diamonds, okay? 2 of diamonds. I'm up jogging the 2 of diamonds. That means I'm pushing it up. What's the next one?
Ace of spades.
Ace of spades. Are you sure that's the most common card in a deck?
Yeah.
All right, next card.
8 of hearts.
8 of hearts. That's a random card. Very, very random card. Okay, 8 of hearts. And
Sean?
finally,
10 of clubs.
10 of clubs. I like how you guys chose one from every suit. Okay, 10 of clubs. So, guys, you chose the following 4 cards, which I find astounding. Because, guys, from this pack of cards, you chose the only 4 blue ones in my pack of red.
Wow.
I knew in advance before you even came on the show, or I came on the show, which 4, and so I replaced them from a different pack of cards.
Holy shit.
Love it.
There you are.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God damn.
All right. That was awesome. Okay. Well, we've got a couple questions for you before we say goodbye.
Sure.
I wonder if he knows what they are before.
Well, no, because luckily we had him on pretty quickly. Like we didn't have the I couldn't send you the email. I couldn't send you all the questions and all this and that.
Yeah. You got me last minute. Yeah.
Yeah. So I usually ask if you have a challenge for our viewers, and I don't know if you are prepared with the challenge for our viewers. We try and ask our guests to give our viewers some kind of challenge that they could work on.
I have a challenge. Learn a magic trick. Any level. Go on YouTube, find a tutorial, and learn one basic or intermediate magic trick. Share it with one person in your life and make their day. If everyone watching this did that, it would create magic. It's just
There'd be like 600 people.
Cool.
Holy shit.
All right, I will do that. I will come up with a magic trick, and I will show it on our next episode.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Okay, so the other 2 questions we have are, first, tools of the trade. What do you use that gets you through your day-to-day? It could be a literal thing. It could be a mental thing. Like, what one thing do you rely on when you do your work every day?
I rely on... It's a good question. I think expecting it to never be what's expected. I think I just kind of rely on the adventure. I mean, there's no real rock that I turn to say, oh, this is what my standard is, or this is what I have to have happen in order for it to be a good day or a good show. I'm very organized, so organizational skills, but I think that, when it really boils down to it, part of what makes my life the most exciting is that no two days, no 2 shows are the same. No 2 events are the same. No 2 clients are the same. No 2 people that come up on a stage are the same. So I have to kind of realize that going into the day or into an event, and that keeps me on my toes. I have to always kind of remember that I can't become lazy and assume that people are going to go along with what I'm doing, because a lot of people want to throw me a challenge, or they'll say, no, I want Steffi in the other room, or you put your head under the table, whatever it is. I have to be aware that might and may happen. And it just happened the other night. A guy was like, no, I want you to tell me the serial number off of my bill. Like, okay. And we did it. And then he was like, no, you have a camera somewhere. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's
whatever.
my first thought. That's awesome.
But I think that'd be pretty much it, to know that it's never going to be the same, and it's always going to be a bit of an adventure.
Embrace the unexpected.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Last question before we set you free on your evening. One more question. What's your jam? What's that one song that you cannot skip past? You absolutely love, gets you in a great mood anytime you hear it?
I'm going to embarrass myself with this one. Well, it could be one of 2 songs. They're both equally of embarrassing. Okay, so, honestly, The Spy Who Loved Me by Carly Simon. There you go. I said it.
There you
go. Second one could be a song called Magic by Pilot, because it has some nostalgic, personal things that are around that song. But yeah, probably the Carly Simon song. I think that's that and I Love Paris by Paul Anka, I think is the greatest song ever written. But
awesome.
Ask me, what do I know?
No, that's perfect, man. Thank you so much.
The Screaming Jay Hawkins version is pretty good too. So
I would imagine it would be. I'm gonna see. That's why we do this question, because then we can look up good tunes and hear some stuff that we might not have heard before, right?
Yeah, but Paul Anka's version, I think, is quintessentially the most perfect song ever recorded. I don't know why. I just feel it. It is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, guys. Sean, Mark, Aurora, have you got anything you would like to say, ask, anything before we say goodbye?
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Like, you
No problem.
blew my mind, put it in the back of the room there. Like, that's crazy shit, dude. Like, I'm so like dumbfounded by how you do all this shit, and I'm gonna get into more Magic TV shows and stuff. Just
you got it. Oh, Magic
myself.
for Humans on Netflix. Watch Magic for Humans. It's so fun.
Yeah, he's a fun one.
Fun show.
Yeah.
All set in LA. A guy walks around and just fucks with people's heads. It's great. He's a super cool dude. I've met him at the castle a couple times. Super nice guy.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he does some pretty cool tricks, that guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks as well. This has been
it's
been a lot of fun. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Aurora?
Yeah, thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I know Brian's been talking about it for a while to have you on, and I'm just so glad that you could come on, and your tricks were awesome. And
thank you.
Yeah.
I did want to mention something, Aurora, that I keep noticing. Behind you on the wall, I keep seeing this strange shadow that keeps coming across. Is that a cat or? Like, is your place haunted or something? Like, I keep seeing a strange shadow
of a cat.
No, like look behind the chair you're sitting on. What is that?
I don't know. I don't know what you see. I'm just like, what?
I'm just messing with you.
I felt like that my first thought was...
I'm sitting here thinking Aurora doesn't have a cat.
I was thinking too.
What the hell is in my house?
I had a cat.
One of my favorite things, I'll tell you the truth, one of my favorite things is I was at this huge event, the biggest names in Magic, everyone's there, and I get a moment and I go to the audience and go, okay, you, some random person, I go, tell me the name of any movie in the world, whatever, Fargo. Under your seat is a Blu-ray copy of Fargo. And they go look, and I go, now that would have been a hell of a trip. Stupidest thing, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. Awesome. So where could people find you? What's next for you? How could people keep in touch or just learn from your awesomeness?
Well, that is a question I don't have the answer to. I don't know what's next. We're currently going to the States and working the Magic Castle. We have events at the Mystic Museum in Burbank. This place is amazing. It's what it sounds like it is. We're doing the Santa Monica Magic Playhouse. We're doing an amazing show at the Bob Baker Marionette Theater, and it's a monster, creepy themed evening. And an amazing magician, Chipper Lowell, is going to be on. This guy's just top tier. He was just on the cover of Genie magazine, which is the big magic magazine. He was on it this month. So we're doing that. Then when I come home, we got some corporate work, probably going to be going back to the CNE, and just sort of playing it by ear. Right now, I mean, believe it or not, I'm busy, but it didn't bounce back yet. It's not like it was pre-pandemic. I was doing 300 shows a year. I'm probably 80 now. But that doesn't, I mean, what I'm charging now is much, much more. So financially, it's kind of the same. But I like to get out there and do stuff. So I find myself doing things on TikTok and on social media in order to fill my days. Because if I'm not working until the 20th, I'm going to go nuts for 10 days.
Yeah.
You know? So you can go on TikTok. It's Mysterion Strange and Unusual. Mysterion's Strange and Unusual on TikTok. And I got like a good handful of followers. I think I'm at like 115,000 or something, which isn't bad for me on TikTok at 48. I'm not dancing or anything. If I did. And then just follow online and just kind of keep an eye out for if I'm doing anything local. We just got back from doing like the Bon Stew and Sault Ste. Marie and this sort of stuff. So we're always doing events, but we're hired in to do them. I don't really four-wall that much anymore. Oh, there is one thing, the Something Strange Oddities Market in Toronto, and the wrestling. We never touched on this. So on July 14th and 15th. 15 and 16. 15 and 16. On the 15th, at the Skull Store, which is a store in Toronto, they have a venue in the store, and we're doing the Something Strange Sideshow Wrestling. And so there's wrestling and then freak show acts. So one guy's going to get out of a straitjacket while being continuously slammed in the ring. And then I'm wrestling a woman. I'm doing a intergendered Andy Kaufman thing. Then we have giant wrestlers, like real wrestlers that some of them have actually been in WWE, are going to be on the show. The next day, we're doing at Revival a full oddities market. There's over 40 vendors selling everything from antiques, oddities, mortuary, human skulls, animal taxidermy, you name it. And the last one we did at Revival was, I swear to God, it was so busy, I couldn't get from my booth to the other side of the room. It took me over 10 minutes to get to the other side of the room. That's how many people were in the place. It was just rammed. So that one's on the 15th of July. It's a ways off, but it's going to be a hoot.
So Aurora, I need July 15th off because I'm going to be shooting a wrestling event of oddities.
Yeah.
Aurora's my boss at my full-time job. Just so you know.
So that's at Skull Store. It's called One Ring Circus. And yeah. I'm bringing wrestling back to the carnival. That's where it started, you know.
I love it. I really want to be a part of that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, reach out to us. We'll put you on the list.
Yeah, I'll put you on the list. Don't worry.
Appreciate it. Cool. My wife and I are going to be there.
Fun.
All right. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. I know we maybe we'll get you on a following week, but you're going to be out of the country and you fit us in, and I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate you having me, and I'm glad this worked out.
It really did. It really, really did. Aurora, Sean, Mark, thank you as always. And for everybody who's watched us this week and every other week, we can't thank you enough. Keep on watching because we're always doing new shows every week, every Monday night, airing at 6 o'clock on YouTube and, of course, on Spotify and all over the place for audio, too. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next week.
See you in my favorite place, the future. That's how you sign off, buddy.